We might have a fairly small group today, which would be nice. It gives us enough time to really go deep dive into certain things if you want to. This is it's a new owners workshop, but this is an Ask Us Anything style. So realistically, even if you want to learn more about the club, if you want to learn more about what we do, our goals, our mission, anything you want to know, we'll do our best to help you out on that. We're welcomed by John out in Buffalo. Hey, John. Looks like you got a nice haircut. might have to take after that and get one soon too. But yeah, we'll probably start things around 3:35. But realistically, we could start whenever if you have any questions. Like I said, there's no specific outline for today. There isn't a specific topic that we're focusing on. So really, if there's, let's say you just picked up your car, you've had it for a few months, you've had it for years, really, anything that you want to know more about, if you have any questions, I'll do my best to help you out on that. Whether it's service, maintenance, just, how to navigate the settings, we'll go through all of that. As John mentioned, you're more than welcome to type any questions into the chat if you want to as well. But you could also just keep your microphone on mute or unmute. There's a raise hand icon just in case things really get heated and everyone has a bunch of questions and the conversation really gets going. There's a raise hand icon. I believe it's in the bottom of your screen. There should be a little thing that should allow you to do the raise hand, and that way we could just kind of keep everything in order. But yeah, you're more than welcome to type a question to the chat. You could ask out loud. All right, I guess it looks like we have a question already, so we'll get this the shindig started here. I'll just go ahead and introduce myself quickly, and then just a couple things before we start. I'm going to guess probably in the next few minutes we'll get a few more guests in here. So I'm Stephen Pallotta. I'm the club manager for Tesla Owners Club New York State. I'm based out here in the capital region. I'm right in Albany, specifically Latham. If you're from the Albany area, I'm from Latham. We're welcomed by John as well. John, I think if you want to introduce yourself.
There. Can everyone hear?
Yes.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm on the Niagara Frontier, which includes Buffalo, Niagara Falls, and suburbs. So if anyone is ever interested in visiting the falls, I can give them a great itinerary on where Nikola Tesla himself had an impact, and happy to answer any questions.
Oh, and John, just before you go, do you want to give a quick sneak peek about a really cool upcoming event you have? Or a couple, I guess you have a couple, but do you want to talk about the one in December?
Right, we have a couple of events. One in December is being finalized as we speak. It will be the 11th, and it will be outside, if it gets approved, outside of Giga, New York, which is the big factory that makes the solar and the superchargers and a few other things. It will be a toy drive, which means we will be collecting, your optional donation of toys that will go to the Marines running Toys for Tots. So it should be a good outdoor presentation. Unfortunately, they don't allow anyone to take tours of the factory yet, but if that ever becomes available, you will hear it here.
Yes, thanks, John. I'll just go ahead and go over a couple of quick events. Like John said, we have the event coming up in December. You should be, can you see my screen all right? I just put on, okay, perfect. Just want to go over a couple of upcoming events. If you're new to the club, if you're not already registered as a formal member, it's free to sign up. So definitely make sure you're signed up. That way you get information about events that we have or anything that's really important. We could communicate with you. But obviously today we have our new owners workshop. If you're in the Hudson Valley region, Dandelion, who does geothermal energy, is going to be hosting an event on the 17th. So tonight. So if you're able to make it, that's something really cool. They're going to talk about geothermal energy, how they can harness, whether it's the ground, pretty much 6 feet below the ground is at a constant, I think it's about 55 degrees or so. So they're actually pulling cool or hot air, depending on the season, out of the ground. So that's going to be tonight. You could sign up for that free event. And then after that, they're taking everyone out to Captain Lawrence for appetizers and beverages. If you're in the Long Island area on the 20th, they're doing a Thanksgiving, so food donations down there. If you're in the New York City region, we're having our first New York City event in over a year. So this is really exciting. It's New York City, so there actually won't be any car meetup per se. If you can get parking in the area, by all means, bring your car. But most likely, you'll probably end up taking the subway. But we'll be meeting out there on the new pier and then, as John mentioned, there's another Buffalo event coming up on the 28th, a meetup there. Then we have 2 winter prep courses. We're breaking it down into 2. We could do it as one, but they're pretty long. So even if you've had your car for 2 years, 3 years, this is a really helpful virtual event to talk about just different ways to best prepare for the winter. It's not much different owning an electric car, but there's a couple things that you'd want to know that'll just make your life that much better with owning an EV. And the last thing that we have planned for the year, besides what John said, which is the Gigafactory event, is the annual holiday party. So that's on the 11th in the evening or the night. That is free to sign up. It's currently open to all paid members, but it'll be open to all members on the 20th. So those are all of the different events that we have planned for the near future. Just one more quick announcement too. We recently just became a 501c3. That's a huge accomplishment for the club that was led by our club president, Patrick. So just a cool bit of information. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll start getting into the questions. As mentioned, if you have a question, you can either type it into the chat box or you can use the raise hand icon and you can talk about whatever it might be. All right, so question. New owner, heard charging whenever not in use and up to 50% daily as best. Okay, so as far as charging goes, right? Tesla recommends that you constantly keep your car plugged in, whether it's the summer, the winter, they recommend to always have your car plugged in. There's a good reason why for this. So our cars are always using energy, right? So it's weird. We get into it. There's no engine starting. It's always on, right? But part of that too is that it's always keeping the batteries at a healthy. I kind of look at it as like a homeostasis, right? The batteries want to be kept at a certain temperature. So for that to happen, it does require a little bit of energy. So if your car is plugged in, it won't be using the onboard energy to keep it at that homeostasis per se. Same thing with Sentry mode, or I even believe data, just having it go back and forth to your phone will use a little bit of energy. So the best thing that you could do, if it's possible, you don't need to, but if possible, always leave your car plugged in. Now, as far as the other part, yeah, I would say that minimum, you can keep it around 50. You can go lower than that. I believe the official word from Tesla is like, don't go below like 20%. But if you can keep it at 50 most of the time, that's a happy level right there. Same thing though, while we're talking about battery, you don't want to go over 90%. There's a few reasons why. One of them is that you lose regenerative braking. So right when you take your foot off the accelerator, the car is not going to be able to put that back into the battery because it's already fairly full and it could damage the battery by doing that. The second one too is, think about it as like a balloon, right? If you blow a balloon up too much, it puts stress on the balloon. Same thing on the batteries. If you're always keeping your battery charged at 100%, unless you have the new standard range Model 3, unless you have the new standard range Model 3, then don't charge past 90%. It just puts extra stress on the battery. So if you're planning on keeping your car for as long as you can, it's just better for the battery. So charge to 90, but on the brand new, if you've just picked it up, I would say in the last few months or so, new standard range Model 3, they're using a different battery technology that allows you to charge to 100% all the time. So a pro of the new standard range. All right, next question. I have a Y and the auto drive feature appears to be very aggressive. Does anyone else have this problem? So Karen, I'm guessing you're talking about autopilot, right?
I think so, because I'm used to putting it. I had the 3 and I just changed over to the Y, so I'm used to putting it in cruise control. And I'll put it in cruise control, and I'll be driving along, and I could come around a bend. I could be on a 2-lane road. I could have a car turn in front of me, and I will literally stop. I will stop like 8 miles per hour within 30 feet. The car just almost slams on the brakes, and I'm going like 55, and there's nothing, and there's not a problem in front of me. Sometimes it's when I go down a dip or up a dip.
So there's a couple different ways that you could probably go about that. One of them. Okay, it's gonna go ahead. All right. There's a couple different ways you can go about that. So one of them is you could change the follow distance on your car. So while you're engaged in autopilot, right, you pull it down twice using the right scroll wheel button. If you click push to the left or the right, depending on which one you want to do. I believe if you push it to the right, it raises it. I think I think if you push it to the right, I guess just check and see. So the right square wheel button, you can push it, right? You could roll it up and down, but you could also click it to the left and the right. That will change the follow distance from you and the car in front of you. So maybe you want to set that to 4 or 5. That might help. Another one too is if you go into the settings and autopilot, from there, I believe you will also be able to change the response to how far out it's going to react. That might only be for the warning, but it might relate to reactive. John, would you know?
I'm not quite sure, Stephen, about that, but yeah, the follow distance is what you want to set, and then you can do like an early late setting on the reaction like you mentioned, but I'm not sure how granular that is. What I was going to suggest to Karen, you can also roll down your right scroll wheel to lower the speed while you're driving. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I am familiar with that, but yeah. I mean, I'm on cruise control and I'm just driving along and I'll go around a bend and the car will like stop itself. I mean, if there's somebody behind me, I'm going to get nailed.
Oh, you're talking about phantom braking.
I don't know what it is. It's just on the cruise control. It just does this.
It senses another car.
It like thinks another car is turning in front of me or something and it stops.
So it could be like John is saying, there's something called phantom braking with Teslas. I'm sure it's with a lot of cars that use any type of cameras or, where they're trying to predict right what's in front of you, all this. So it could be just the fact that the car is going around the corner. It recognizes, oh my gosh, I'm going around a corner. I don't know what's around the end, so I'm going to brake hard because there could be something there and I'm not ready for it. I'm not into engineering. I don't do any of that crazy stuff. My assumption would be, especially around a corner, is that the car the car realizes I'm going around a corner. I can't see what's around the other end of this. I need to brake right now because there could be a car there. That would be my guess. As far as that goes, there's no way to like fix that per se, but that gets better over time as software improves.
What also happens if I drive 2-lane all the time. I'm always on the back roads and I could be going one direction. A car could be coming the other direction and it does it to me, especially if it's a bigger car.
So coming from the other end, even on a just directly straight.
2-lane road, you're coming, you're both coming each way. And all of a sudden my car will like it's somebody slammed on the brakes on me.
How often?
Yeah, I mean, it happens every time I'm on the road.
Yeah, if that's happening, something like that often, I would probably end up bringing that in for service. As far as if it seems like it's that frequent, where literally every time you're passing another car, it's like, it brakes on you.
It's not every time. It just happens every time I'm driving, at least once while I'm driving.
Yeah, that sounds a little too often. I mean, I really, I think every Tesla owner gets phantom braking every once in a while.
Okay.
But if it's happening that frequently, it sounds like there needs to be a recalibration of sorts.
That's what I wondered. I have an appointment with Tesla, but that's why I was wondering if everybody else's car is that aggressive about it, or if it's set too aggressively.
I can say I have the same issue. It's scary because I agree with you. I feel like I'm going to get rear-ended. Okay. So I can relate to what you're saying, and I guess I'll have to do the same thing. It's scary.
And this is Jeanette. I had that happen on a recent road trip, and it was really scary. The car almost felt like a bucking bronco because it slowed it down so quickly. And Karen, to your point, it was a 2-lane highway. There was nothing in front of me. There was no reason for it to do it. It just sent something, and it almost made the car like buck. And I immediately disengaged TAC and lane assist and got it back into control. But it was scary, Stephen.
Yeah.
Do you guys both have Ys? Do you both have Ys, or is this just all?
Yeah, I have a Y.
Huh.
Okay.
Interesting. Something to note, I'm not sure if your cars have it yet, but they call it Tesla Vision, which means there's no more radar that's also coupled with the cameras. They're getting rid of the radar completely. And there were talks that maybe the radar and the cameras were contending with each other, and that may have caused some of that phantom braking. So I would definitely put in a service request and try to find out. Originally, when you mentioned going around curves, I misinterpreted, Karen. I thought you meant it was going too fast around curves, and that's why I mentioned you can scroll down the right wheel. But this may be handy for people. If you're going around a curve in autopilot or cruise control, it might be too fast. scroll down the button a little, the right button a little bit. It'll slow down the car, and then if you want to resume, you just tap the speed limit sign, and it goes back up automatically.
Yep.
So that's a little shortcut to be able to resume the natural speed.
Yeah, and to add to John's point too, I think typically when you're going around corners, you'll learn things over time as you become a Tesla owner and kind of what you need to do to make it more of an enjoyable experience, right? So same thing when there was this one corner in this area where it always goes around way too fast. So I've always just kind of gotten used to just scrolling it down a little bit. But as John mentioned, right when you're done there, you don't want to have to scroll. You can just tap that button and it goes right back to the speed limit. But yeah, if things are happening like that all the time, like it's getting to the point where it's just far too frequent, that's not normal. There's going to be phantom braking, things happen. It's weird, it's technology. But I would say, yeah, if it's happening that often, I would probably put in a service appointment. Okay, so taking delivery of Model Y on Monday. Congratulations. Lots of questions. I'll start with car wash. Can you use one? Do you have to sit in the car while the car wash is going? So this is totally dependent on you. I will say if you're getting black, do whatever you can to protect that car, because I have a black Model 3 and that paint, it's not even the paint on the car. All black cars, I would say, I don't know. I would never get a black car again. But yeah, so as far as car washes go, I used to only hand wash my car and it just took so long and so long. Like I don't have an hour to spend washing this thing. And it already had swirl marks in it at that point. And I tried to be so careful. I started taking it to a local car wash. It always came out better looking than whenever I tried to do it myself. And it's black. So I would say, depending on what color you get, depending on how careful you are with the paint, and if you want to keep it in like perfect condition, if it's in perfect condition, there's a couple things you could do to protect your paint, depending once again on your budget and how much of a fanatic you are. You could do something called ceramic coating. So this is an option. I'd say for the whole car, you're looking at could be $800 to $1,500. It could be more than that, but I would say it's a ballpark. And what this does is that you can imagine it as putting another clear coat on your car. It fills in the gaps, so they'll polish it, it'll fill in the gaps, and then it also provides a hard layer. So that's called ceramic coating. And depending on where you are, there's different recommendations, but I would look into that. That's one option. And that'll keep your car protected, fairly well. It just builds up a nice hard layer on it. There's a secondary option, and this is if you have a bigger budget and if you're really a paint fanatic. It's called paint protective film. PPF is the abbreviation. And this is a stretchable plastic material that goes over the panels on your car. And someone can take a key, they could take a wire brush, they could scratch your paint, right? And all that damage is done to the paint protective film and not the car. So there's two different options that you have. And what's really cool with the paint protective film is, since it's a plastic material, if it gets damaged, whatever it is, if it's just a scratch, if someone tries to maliciously take a key, the sun will actually repair the material all on its own. That though costs about $4,000, $5,000. It is pricey. So depending on your budget and how much you love paint, and there's options for everyone, right? For me, I've had my black Model 3 for coming up on 3 years now. Like I said, I've done it by hand. I've done it by going to the car wash. Honestly, taking it through the car wash really didn't do anything that made me ever go, whoa, it really not bad. So I think it comes down to you. As far as staying in the car, that's totally going to depend on the car wash you go to. I believe most car washes you do have to be in the car. It depends on where you're. Like I said, I'm in Albany. Most of the ones I've ever been to here, you go in there and you put it in neutral. While we're actually on this, because this is a little bit of a tricky one here, as far as neutral, to get your car into neutral, you don't put it in a certain area per se. You do, but so if you're in a Model 3 or Model Y, you gently, I want to say it's up, right, John? Is it up to put it in? So it's not a full click. So you're in, let's say you're in drive, you have it in drive, it's kind of a slight half click. So you're not getting it to that click point, but right before there, just push it up a little bit, and then that will put it into neutral. You might want to watch a video. It's probably easier to watch it on a video as far as how to put a Tesla in neutral, but most car washes require you to be in neutral. The other option, and this probably would work just fine, we have a few different options with the cars, how they react when your foot is off the go pedal, right? Or the accelerator, anything but the gas pedal, right? So there's an option, there's hold, which is what a lot of people use. So as soon as you take your foot off the accelerator, it applies the brakes. That's a really nice option. There's also one called, I think it's roll, so that if you're on a hill and you take your foot off the brake or off the accelerator without putting on the brake, the car will actually roll down the hill, almost like an old fashioned, not old fashioned, but like a manual transmission, right? It'll just kind of go backwards. So if you have it in that roll mode, I believe it's, oh no, roll is, we'll keep it moving forward. Sorry, that's what it was, right? John, I don't know if you can confirm that for me. But there's 3 different options. One is where it will apply the brake no matter what. As soon as you let off the accelerator, the brake is on there. The second one, I believe it's actually roll, will keep the car moving. So kind of like a regular gas car, right? You let your foot off the accelerator, nothing on the brake, it automatically stays in first gear and it starts to roll forward. The last option acts like it's like a neutral. I believe to get into that, I believe it would just be under the driver settings.
Yeah, you're thinking about creep. Creep is like the automatic transmission.
Creep is like automatic transmission.
If you let off the brake, the car lurks forward a little bit. Whereas roll, I've never used roll. I believe that's more like it's in neutral when your foot is off the brake, which I don't know why you'd want that. The best one is definitely hold. Hold is like one pedal driving. You just use your accelerator, and when you let off, it stops for you. You hardly ever use the brake. There is car wash mode. There's a new mode, which I have not tried. So if anyone has experience, speak up, because there's a preset for car wash mode. I believe it folds the mirrors and it turns off the wipers, or it does some other things. Maybe Jeanette has?
Yeah, I've used that. That's really good because it turns off everything that would be automatic. So like if you had your wipers on auto, it folds the mirrors in, it does all these things. So I click on that before I go into the car wash. But I've only used the kind of car wash. I haven't put my car on one of the ones where it pulls it. I've gone into one where you just drive in and then it touchless goes through and washes your car, because I haven't been brave enough to put it on those, whatever they are. That made me
You're
nervous.
going about it the right way, Jeanette. You're going around. Yeah, that's the right way.
So
Yep. So you bring a good point across, right? There's 2 different types of cars. You have the no touch, and you have, whether it's the rollers, the foam, or whatever it is. So the way that you're doing it, the chance of something going wrong is like close to 0, right? It's just water pressure and the chemical solution. So I would say if you're that's a really great way to go about getting a car washed, whether it's a Tesla or any car, that's a really safe way to go about it. So I'm having trouble getting my driving score. I purchased FSD. Is it possible? I'm not the primary driver, but it's on. Okay, so if it's under your wife's name, interesting. I don't know. So I don't have mine. Sadly, I don't have a wife yet. But as far as having different accounts and it being linked to FSD, I think Hugh, that's probably something you would want to check on your wife's phone first. So to get your driver score, if you have FSD, full self-driving, if you have that, if you purchase that on your car, what you get something called a driver score. I think it's driver score beta or some name like that. To get to that, you would just go into your Tesla app, and then under one of these areas, it'll have a certain section that says driver score beta. You click on that and it'll show you. So if your app is up to date, which if it's not, or even if you're not sure, whether I have an Android, but if you have an Android or iPhone, just go to the App Store, type in Tesla, and right there it'll either say update or remove, right? So if it needs an update, it'll say update. So check and make sure that your app is up to date. Check and make sure your car is the most up to date. That you can't really change. That either is or it isn't. And if it isn't, it'll eventually get the update. So that's the first thing you'd want to do, is make sure that your phone is the most up to date. The app is the most up to date it can be. I think the second part is really just a troubleshooting, which is seeing, okay, if it's primarily your wife's car or whoever it's linked to, I would check on that phone too, make sure everything's up to date, and then see if it's on there. If not, then possibly Tesla has it linked to the primary owner. That way, let's say you take it out for a drive and you're having a good time. Maybe you ruin your wife's score and she gets upset, So that would be my thought, is that, I guess, give it a couple different check arounds, make sure that your phone is most up to date, and then also see on your wife's phone if maybe it's on there but not yours, and that would kind of tell you.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. How viable is the 21 Model 3 standard range plus for road tripping? That's a good question. Okay, so I want to say, where is it at? Is it around like 260 or so, 260 miles, the standard range Model 3? I want to say it should be somewhere around there. Could be wrong. I want to say it's around 260 though, if not a little higher. Yeah, so big major difference with the brand new Model 3 standard range is that you could charge to 100% all the time. That's really nice. Now there's a big difference too as far as charging goes. With the long range, just the dual motor performance, right? Those have the bigger battery packs. Those are going to charge quicker, which is a nice feature to have. And because it's more range, your, let's say 10% to 80% is more miles. So if it, let's say it takes 20 minutes to get from 10% to 80%, you're going to be getting more miles in that time frame. So I don't want to get too off on your question. I would say realistically, so my car has, it's a dual motor Model 3 from 2018, and my max range today at 100%, it's not great. It's 266. So it's because of the weather to it. Yeah, John, it's taking a beating. The proof
I don't
is right
understand. Mine's
Yeah.
still like 99% of the original. But anyway, go ahead.
I don't know. Yeah. So my max range today is 266, right? I travel around the state all the time. I would say that's suffice. Realistically, and this comes down to probably personal things too, and how often you need to stop for whatever needs you need to stop for. But after driving, 200 miles, let's say 150 miles, 200 miles, 220 miles, you probably need to stop, get out of go to the bathroom, stretch your legs. Now, if you're like if you were a truck driver in your past life and you could drive for like 8 hours straight, good on you. I wish it was like you. But I would say a standard range, without getting too far off the topic again, I would say a standard range Model 3 is more than enough. I would say you'd be content with that. Is it nice to have the extra range? Yeah, 100%. Today a dual motor Model 3 can do 350 miles on a full charge. That might make a big difference to you. If that might be one less stop or two less stops, depending on, well, realistically, probably just one less stop. So I would say
you can chime in.
Yeah.
I just want to add one more point. I hope folks realize that the Tesla navigation system is very robust, and it will tell you based on the car that you have or that you type in. If you're using the Tesla website, you can plan a trip and you punch in the car model that you have, and then it will show you, depending on what your destination is, how many times you need to stop, how long each stop will be, and that sort of thing. There's also one other alternative. It's called a Better Route Planner. A Better Route Planner. And that one is an app that allows you to do the same thing, but also account for more variables like the hills and wind and all kinds of things.
And it's free.
It's free, I believe, yes. But the whole idea is you have a lot of options to make it easy to take long trips. If anyone tries to convince you that an electric car is poor for long trips, keep going, because it turns out to be super convenient, even with the standard range plus, like Stephen said. If you're not doing marathon cross-country drives to set a speed limit record or whatever, or what do they call it, the cannonball run, yeah, I think most people, 99% of folks who travel long distance, will be fine.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about that? I took a recent trip and I did use navigation, and it told me where to get off to a supercharger, but I noticed it was a horrible day coming back, rain, miserable weather, all of that. I noticed that the car seemed to be going through way more, the battery was going through way more mileage than what was predicted. Is that normal? Is it because of the driving conditions?
So the biggest factor, and this is actually really cool, we're going to talk about this on the new owners workshop for the winter prep course. The biggest factor as far, could depend on your heat too, but pretty much straight up, the biggest factor as far as range on your car when you're driving is how fast you're going. So if you notice, sometimes depending on how much range you have, how much battery, right, your car will actually stay below 65 miles an hour. A little yellow thing will come up. It'll say stay below 65 miles an hour to reach your destination. Most of the time you could probably cut it close and still go 65. But big factor as far as range and just efficiency is just staying at either the speed limit or even below, right? Most speed limits are around 55. I would say, no matter what, I would say go the speed limit. It's good. It's good to do. But yeah, a big role in range comes down to just how fast you're going.
What about using all the other things? Because I wasn't going fast because it was pouring rain. It was 55.
Gotcha. So yeah, as far as the other factors go, depending, I believe all Model Ys come with the heat pump. So that the heating system that's in your car, so that's very efficient. So you shouldn't really have a problem with that. I would say it still uses some energy, obviously uses energy. But yeah, depending on the heating, if you have your heat set to really high, a good trick, I guess you could say, is use your heated seats if you like using them. If you don't, it's just a great way because your body's in contact with the seat, right? So that energy is getting transferred right to you. So that's a great way to save energy on a, no matter what, is use the heated seats. I would have to assume that potentially, if, like you said, it was stormy, so maybe even headwinds. If you're fighting headwinds, I would have to assume that would do, no matter what you're driving, a gas car, electric car, you're going to be using more energy against that.
And I had the wipers on all the time too.
No,
so
that shouldn't be much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's road conditions and speed.
Yeah, I would say, speed. Yeah, speed is a big factor. And if you have any new Tesla, anything, within the last few months or so, last year, I'd say the Model 3 was the last one to get the heat pump. All new Teslas today have heat pumps though. That's very good on efficiency for heating or cooling. Okay. So is it easy to program a garage door opener and the why? Where do I start? So I believe all Teslas today, I think even the S and X, I believe the S and X, but I know the 3 and the Y, you have to actually purchase the garage door opener as an add-on. This is not something you actually do when you're ordering your car. You do this after you take delivery. So the way that it's done. Okay, so the way that it's done is you buy it on Tesla's website. It's kind of weird, but you buy it on Tesla's website. They deliver it to your house, and then you set up an appointment through your app. You don't have to pay to get it installed. So I'll repeat that again. You buy it online, you go to Tesla's website, you type in garage door opener. I forgot the exact name of it, but you could just search for the accessories.
HomeLink.
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 Yep. So the home link, and then you purchase that, and included in that purchase price is the installation through Tesla. What I would try to do, because they will do this for you, and this would save you a lot of a big headache. They'll even link it if you get it done at your house. If mobile service comes to you, they'll do it all for you right at your house. Meaning, like, they'll link it to your garage door. Everything will be set up seamlessly for you. That's the way to go. Can you do it on your own? As far as linking it, if you already have it in your car, yeah, you can. It's a little bit. I didn't like doing it on mine, but especially if you still have to get the product, the HomeLink device, they'll take care of it all for you at your house. Even if they do it at a service center, let's say you're in Henrietta or downstate or wherever it might be, and they do it at an actual service center, you might still be able to put in a request for them to come do it at your house. If you're just having a really hard time, or you're like, hey, I paid for this, I'd like to do it for me if possible, they should be able to come by your house and pair everything for you.
Just one follow-up question. And the only reason you do that after you purchase the car is because you just want to make sure that if they come, you have the car?
So it's very interesting. I won't go too deep into this, but every Tesla used to come with HomeLink. I found out that Tesla had to pay a loyalty on every car that came with HomeLink. It's I guess I don't know enough about business, but basically they had to pay a loyalty for every HomeLink device that the car came with. It wasn't just the actual hardware, there's loyalty. So Tesla found out that they could, I'm sure things are changing now, right? Everything's getting more expensive in general, but they were able to lower the price of the car because they didn't have to, span that out, and every car had to get that loyalty fee on it. So the main reason why is they probably also did, just diagnostics and said, hey, how many people are even using HomeLink? Do most people, just I think roughly 50% of Model 3 owners own a home. So they probably also said, man, it's not worth including this if 50% of people aren't even using it. So that's the main reason why. I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole, but yeah.
And real quick, I just want to amplify on what Steven said. When you're setting up your appointment in the app, it doesn't necessarily say that you can get home, what do they call it, mobile service. But if you type in the memo field, like when you're making the appointment, if they want any other information, you can say mobile service preferred. And then chances are, they will be able to coordinate. And on that same day that your appointment would be, they'll dispatch the mobile service to home, work, wherever you are. Once I had a mobile service done at an appointment and I wasn't even there, they were able to access the car and lock it up and everything. And then one other pro tip, if you're programming the remote control for your garage door with the car, usually they say you have to press the button on the remote control while the car is set up, and then it'll flash the headlights to say it was confirmed. That you get into that whole rigmarole. The problem I ran into was that I was using the remote control for my keychain that operates my garage door. It wasn't strong enough. You needed to use the big one that came with the garage door originally, and then boom, it programmed perfectly. So hopefully no one else has that problem, but if there's an issue programming, it may be because it needs the original remote.
One more tip too, just to add to John additions over here, but one issue too that I found on when I was at my parents' house, my garage door opener, the battery was old. So even just changing the battery in your garage door opener will be, it might be needed to get it to pair with the car. So like John said, if you have a small keychain one, that might not have enough power. So make sure that you also have a bigger, new battery. All right, charged my car in Canada. I had a loud noise that lasted to my destination. At the destination, I lost about 50 miles.
Okay, I lost 50 miles a night.
50 miles.
I got to a hotel, and at night I was there 4 nights. I lost 150 miles in those 4 nights. Actually 3 nights. I had to go charge the car to make sure I could come back home. But it was the loudest. It was almost like your car was in high gear or something if I had a gear. And it was lasted while I was driving it all the way to my, when I got to the hotel. And then when I got the hotel and I took the car and, drove it back to the charging station, it still was going on. And there was also like a really high pitched, just a real high pitched noise I'd never heard before. It's gone now, but when I finally charged in the United States, it all went away.
That's weird.
It was weird. I actually have an appointment with Tesla because of that. Because the fan noise, or that's what they said, it was a fan noise. I just had it for from United States from I guess when I was going to Ottawa, so I was charged in Ottawa, and then I had it to the hotel, and then back into the United States.
Has anyone ever
reset? I even reset, and that didn't make the noise go away.
John, have you ever charged in Canada?
Yes, I have, but I have no idea. It may have been a fan problem, and hopefully they'll be able to run an inspection and find out. But Karen, that's a stumper. One thing you do want to keep in mind, anybody who charges, turn off your HVAC system, because that will allow the car on, at least on a level 2 charging system, it'll allow it to charge faster and maybe not deplete it as quickly. The other thing would be if you're leaving your car overnight and it's not being charged, Sentry mode uses up, about a mile an hour.
That's what I was wondering, because it was valet. So I was wondering if Sentry mode wasn't, I just figured wherever they parked it, somebody was walking past it all night long.
Well, it was valet. I don't want to, is it possible they were also taking your car out for a joy drive?
No, because I was watching it.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm just saying, you lost about 50 miles.
I
you have a fun car.
There, after the first night, I'm like that. I started watching that, and I lost it the second night too, and my car never moved.
Gotcha. Okay, that is a nice thing with our cars, is that we have the ability to make sure that once it's in park, it's in park. So yeah. I would say if you're still hearing that noise, I've heard the high pitched noise. I think that just comes down to just the battery and the motors. Like, that's not anything to worry about, but that clunk or whatever it was, if that happens again, or in general, I don't know. But and since that time, it hasn't ever been depleting.
No.
Maybe that is
It's
weird.
like my car didn't like Canada.
Can you blame it? No, I'm sorry. I have nothing more against Canada. Canadians.
No,
are good
I go in and out of Canada. How, you know what I mean? Like it needs to like Canada. I go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
My husband said it was also set at maximum range, so he didn't know if that was a reason why also.
The only other thing I could possibly think of is that I've only ever had this once, and now this actually is solved because Tesla will actually send a notification to your phone if any of your doors are open. But I was at a friend's house like a year and a half ago or so, and my heat was in the winter, my heat was on, and I didn't close my door all the way, and it was at nighttime. So the heat was going, it was at like 80 degrees probably, and I get back to my car and I go, oh my gosh, so like I lost range, and the car, and it wasn't even in a great area. So today too, it sounds like this was somewhat recent though, right?
Yeah, it was maybe less than a month ago. It wasn't that
Yeah.
cold. I mean, I've driven to Cleveland and had my car out in Cleveland in like, 10-degree weather and lost 25 miles a night. So I understand that's going to happen to me, but I was underground. Like, I'm like, if I'm underground parking, it's not snowing. It's not that cold.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why I lost so much every night.
Yeah, if it was like 15, I'd be like, okay, that might be normal. Maybe there's a lot of activity and central load and it's cold. But if it's 50 miles an hour, it's not even, that sounds, it's
Nothing.
just a weird case. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just add that to my stuff when I check it in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any recommendations on accessories for the Model Y to purchase? Lots of options. So I would love to hear from other owners. I won't talk too much. I'll give a couple options, and by all means, anyone could chime in on this. If you're a paid member, we have a paid member benefits program. So we have some discounts for different companies out there. There's a brand called TOCNYS, which my ring is right over here. So this brand makes wood and ceramic rings that act as your key card. So any new Teslas today, Model 3, Model Y, and brand new S and X, they have the key card, and this acts as the key card. So really cool accessory. But there's different, check on our website for the paid member benefits section if you're a paid member, and there's different discounts through companies. I'll also just say this, and I'll open it up to anyone else who wants to chime in. There's two big companies. One is Abstract Ocean. We don't have a discount with them, but Abstract Ocean and EV Annex. Abstract Ocean and EV Annex. Those are two of probably the biggest aftermarket companies. I think EV Annex even sells, T-Sportline. EV Annex might sell wheels too, I'm not sure, but there's another company if you're looking for wheels and tires. T-Sportline is another big one. But I'll open it up if anyone else has suggestions.
Hey, Stephen, I just would pass along what your interviewee a week ago said when you asked that question of Mr. Weintraub. Is it Weintraub? Is it, what was his name?
Yes.
And his answer, you kind of pushed him on it. What accessory? And his answer was the mat for camping, right? The mattress kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I think he might. Yeah, there's dream case.
Definitely is that's what he said. He loves to go with, of all the things, and he's an expert, he writes about this all the time. He that was what he came up with. He said mainly because of a family and kids, and it was an awesome accessory. So
yeah, if there's a company called Dream, they're not cheap. Give you a warning just in case you're looking, they're not cheap, but it's called Dream Case, and they sell custom fit beds for whatever Tesla you have. And we actually, he's not with us anymore, sadly. He moved to Florida, but we had a club leader, Carson Gallo, who actually lived in his model. He still lives in his Model X. So he had a Dream Case, and he had, I know different folks, different strokes, whatever the phrase is, but so he lived in it, and he swore by the Dream Case. They actually even gave him a free one after he just told them about it. He's like, this is the best thing ever. They're like, here's another one. So, but yeah. So if you're looking at something, Dream Case has, they're spoken very well of. So that's an option, but you might even be able to get something like an air mattress from Walmart. If you just want to spend $20, you could probably get a twin size mattress and squish it in there. It's sure to be fine. Karen?
I use Tasmanian. And we have a dog that he didn't shed in California, but apparently here in New York, he likes to shed. So we actually have mats for the back. We have them for the seats. If you fold the seats down, those are covered. The seat come up and there's a seat cover. And most of it I got through Tasmanian.
I think they're a little bit more affordable too, right? It's not like not going to hurt the wallet too much, or no?
Right now, I actually just bought the cover for it, the back, you know, I can put a cover in that pulls it so it looks like they're a coupe. In the back, and that was on sale for 40% off. So
Gotcha.
they do have sales sometimes.
Yeah, Tasmanian, definitely another good company to search for aftermarket stuff. All right.
Can I chime in real quick?
Sure.
Screen protector. I think that is one of the cheapest forms of insurance on the most expensive replacement part in the cabin. So if you ever bump the screen, or a passenger does, it's a lot better to have a $20 tempered glass screen protector. And some of the newer ones apparently have this plastic jig that helps you install it even faster and more accurately. But once it's on, you can't even tell it's there. It is so clean and clear looking. Or you can get the so-called matte finish, which prevents glare. So if you're somebody who doesn't like to look at a shiny screen in the sunlight, the matte finish screen protectors would be for you.
John, does that affect the performance of the screen? In other words, with the touch screen and does it diminish that performance a little bit?
Not at all, Hugh. In fact, you can't see it, you can't feel it, unless you're looking with a magnifying glass at the edge of the screen. If you install it properly, if you have big air bubbles, well, then you did it wrong. But that's why once it's on there for good.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think we all have them on our phones. And
good point.
But my reaction when I saw those ads for it, I said, boy, that might just make it not so accurate. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thanks.
No problem.
All right, so we're driving a Model Y with 5 people in cold weather, and range went down faster than actual mileage. Any recommendations? I think this goes back to just to range, right? So speed limit plays a big role. If it's cold and you have the heater on high, it's going to use a little more energy. I would have to assume the rear seats on a Model Y all have heated seats too. So I would say for all the passengers, turn on the heated seats. I would also have to assume that 5 people in the car, extra weight, it's going to, require the car to use a little bit more energy. So that could play another role in it. Is, if they're adults, right, a little bit more weight, a little bit more energy consumption. So another big thing is how much your tires are inflated, right? So if your tires are underinflated, you're also going to be using more energy. So make sure that your tires are inflated to the right PSI. I think on Model 3, it depends on probably what tire and wheel setup you have, right? But I went with the 18 inches, the standard wheels on the Model 3, it's 42 PSI, I believe, for each wheel. So yeah, check your tire PSI, make sure that's all good to go. Big thing too, in the wintertime, the air gets colder, which makes the molecules move a little bit slower, makes it, right? So you want to add a little bit more gas. So I won't go to like a science lesson here, but most likely 100% actually, you're going to need to add a little bit more air into your tires once the winter comes, just because the air gets a little bit more dense and you need to just get more in there. So yeah. All right. What does a yellow halo line on the screen? What does a yellow halo line on the screen on the car mean while driving? The yellow halo line. I think you might be talking about proximity, right? It sounds probably like what it is. So that, yeah, if you're looking around the car, oh, go ahead.
It's me. So I'm confused when this happens. So my little red meme is there on the screen, and then all of a sudden I'll see like a little, like I saw this a couple times, a little yellow, like halo line, maybe zigzagging while I'm driving though. So does it pick up road conditions? Does it pick up?
Do you have full self-driving?
No.
Okay, so it's probably just the proximity. So around your car, if something is very close to you, it'll probably show up as red.
Yeah, it's not that.
It's not that?
No, it's not I know what the proximity, because I use that to go in and out of my garage. This is when I'm driving and there were no cars around me. It was just like this little yellow halo that was on the back side, just kind of hanging out on the car, not on the car mean, but around it, like one area.
Are you referring to the border, the halo, like around the border of the screen, like just around the edge?
I called it a halo effect. If you had your car looking at it and it's driving like this happened when nothing was around me, and it was just like a halo a yellow halo kind of squiggle line by one part of the car in the back.
It stayed like
maybe
that the whole time?
No, it just for a little while, and it came back like, so that's what I was thinking, is a camera picking up?
Maybe
like,
next
the
time you
road
see it, just take a
condition?
picture of that and then email to Stephen and I so we can take a look at it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it might have just been a glitch. There's times too where certain things will just stay up on the screen, and then the next time you go out for a drive, it's gone. So it could have just been a random glitch.
Yeah,
that
and
would
it
be-
was while I was driving and then it went away.
Yeah, it sounds like it might have been a glitch. Yeah, just a little. Yeah, I would say if it comes up again and it's doing that all the time while you're driving, definitely let us know. All right, I think this next one is from you too. So supercharging stations are gone from your mobile app.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was from you?
Yeah, that's from me again, sorry.
No,
So
no,
on
you're
my mobile
fine.
app, when I used to use it to hit charge, I was gonna get my car ready to charge, or the super stations would come up and, tell me where they were, how many people were at them and all that. Now it's not there.
On the phone app from Tesla?
Yeah.
I actually, so I've never, I don't remember that feature on there.
It was a great feature. And now it's gone.
So for charging, let's see. Yeah, I don't. John or Patrick, or does anyone else know more about? I don't remember. I know on the screen on the car itself, you could tap it, and it'll show you where they all
Yes.
are, and
Exactly. But this was on the phone.
that is odd.
And I have another friend, she ordered the Y the same week I did. We got him the same week and it was on her phone too, and now it's gone.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
sorry.
Crazy.
Maybe they accidentally gave you a like a beta build that was only meant for employees. It's totally possible.
I have no idea, but I know that the Tesla app did an update on my phone, and after it
And it
did
was
the
gone.
update, it was gone.
I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow you accidentally got something you shouldn't have gotten. That's interesting. Huh. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so how can they make the Model Y ride smoother? So one option you have, and take this with a grain of salt because there's safety that goes into this, so I want to be careful. Your PSI, right? How inflated your tires are. If they're too inflated, that might make it ride a little harder. Tesla was actually recommending that people had it really high in the early days because it was better for efficiency. But then people were complaining, oh my gosh, this car has too tight of a suspension, or they thought, right? So what they were saying is lower the PSI a little bit. I don't know the exact numbers. This is something you might want to go on to. You could go on our forums, but you might want to check on. I would maybe even Reddit or I think Tesla Motor Club. They have a pretty big resource. So as far as maybe where you would want to have the PSI set to, because there is a big safety thing, right? You have it set too low, could be really dangerous. That's one option that you have. And that's pretty much the primary option as far as making your Tesla ride smoother. The secondary option is going to be very, very expensive. But there's actually one more before I get into that. If you have a performance Model Y, you're on 21-inch wheels. Those are performance wheels. And the tires, there's not much thread. They're low, what do they call, low profile. So bad if you hit a pothole, and they also ride much harder. So the next level you could do is getting an 18-inch wheel, which has more tire, which is going to act as a cushion of sorts, right? So that's your second option. The third is like the extreme way to go, and I would not recommend this unless you really want like a Rolls Royce feel as far as smoothness goes. You could completely change out the suspension in your car and put air suspension in. Yeah, unless you want to go all the way, and that probably voids warranties in certain areas. So I would say, don't do that unless you really want a Rolls Royce feel. But that's an option. So probably what you want to do is check and see. The first thing you'll want to do is maybe lower the air pressure a little bit. If you have the 21-inch or the 20s, be careful though. Once again, just potholes and whatnot, you want to keep them inflated to where they should be. The second option I would recommend this is, you might want to get, especially in the winter time, if you're on the 20s or the 21 inches for the wheels, you'd probably want to replace those with a nice pair of cheap 18-inch wheels, get some nice fat snow tires, you'll be in good shape with that. That would be my suggestion. All right, so my rear tires wore out prematurely. I had to buy 4 even, though the front 2 tires had normal wear. No one could tell me why this happened. Tesla suggested it could be PSI in the tires. I was surprised I did not receive a notice on my screen indicating I was not at 42 PSI. They were at 30. They were at 36. So I guess they were lower, but it didn't give you a warning. That's weird. All my previous cars were proactive that way. Okay, let me just see. So it took delivery of the car. So, okay, so I'll try to break this down a little bit. So the first thing is that realistically, if it goes past probably 38, you should be getting a warning. I can't remember the exact level. Mine, like I said, mine are at 42 also. If it goes even a little bit below, you get that little tire pressure thing. I think it's yellow and it has the exclamation mark and has some weird thing on the outside. You should have gotten something, some type of notification on the dash for that. The second thing is, I don't know how you drive, but if you drive aggressively, if you're constantly accelerating hard, that's going to, okay, yeah, I see you shaking your head, no, Nancy. So for me, that was my case. I will fully admit it. I ran through my first set of tires on my car at 6,000 miles. Yeah. Yep, that's on me.
No, I mean, that's what they asked me. Are you a maniac driver? I said, no, I live in the country. I mean, you can't go fast.
So do you have a son or husband or anyone who's
neither?
Okay, I was gonna say someone who's having a little too much fun out there.
All me.
All right, so I would say, yeah, it 100% should have given you a warning the second it got, I would say around 38. I would be very surprised if it didn't give you a warning.
So you're saying it's an icon. It's not.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe there was an icon there and I didn't recognize what it was. And I'm used to like spelling it out. Get your tires inflated immediately.
Yeah, I think I had a Buick Verano before my current car, before my Tesla Model 3. And with that one, we would get, I think, quarterly or monthly emails from OnStar saying how much your PSI was at, which is pretty cool. So that might be a good suggestion for Tesla, which is to maybe send you like a monthly car update. That'd be kind of a...
Well, I mean, something. I was hydroplaning on I-86 going across New York State in a torrential rain. I mean, I couldn't wait to even, they couldn't schedule me fast enough into the Henrietta service center. So I just had to, with no answers, I just had to get new tires. I mean, it was scary.
So you said too, though, that they pretty much made you get 4 or 2 extra tires that you didn't really need?
I guess I had people were advising me not to get 2 tires that didn't match 2 tires. So I'm not resentful of it. But then this is my other issue is where I live, nobody has the equipment, the computer equipment to align electric cars. So I ended up like Karen, I had some business in Canada. I actually went to the Toronto place and they were good and aligned it and I felt comfortable, but I sure wasn't going to go without getting those tires aligned after my experience of having to replace them on such short mileage.
As far as you mean like wheel alignment, just making sure that toe and camber and all that, that's what you mean, right? For alignment? Okay, I would say realistically, any shop, I have I go through Firestone for my alignments just because they have lifetime of the vehicle alignment. So you pay like, I want to say it's like $180, and as long as you have your car, you just show up whenever you want. I need an alignment, no questions asked, they do it for you. And they don't know anything about Teslas. So I would say, yeah, you should be able to get an alignment done anywhere though. Yeah.
Can I ask Nancy a question? Nancy, were your original tires Michelin or
no? They were Continental.
Okay, because I know for people with Michelin tires, Michelin was honoring the treadwear warranty, which was supposed to be somewhere around 40,000 miles, if I'm not mistaken. And I tried doing it myself because my tires prematurely wore, the original equipment tires. However, I ended up getting a pair of lightly used Michelins on eBay for cheaper and faster and less trouble going through the warranty. But I know other people have used the warranty, and I'm surprised that Tesla didn't tell you to do that.
Tesla told me
just to-
there is no, they told me you could call Continental and you could probably, they would give you a discount on a new set. And I said, listen, after what I experienced with these that came with the car, I don't want the same tires. So I called
Mm.
Tire Rack and I said, I don't care what it costs, just get me the best tires. I live, you know, like you, I live in Western New York. I've got to have confidence in my tires. So I went with Bridgestone. That's what they recommended. And that's what I have now for Bridgestone.
Okay.
Just chimed in is that Michelin has learned the lessons. They are not going to be honor any kind of tread wear warranty for Tesla vehicles, just because they tend to wear out pretty quick, and because the vehicle itself is heavy.
That's what I
so
thought.
it's really they stopped honoring tread wear probably 2 years ago. I did get a couple of repairs before they smart out, and then they say no more, and it's just one of the challenge of Tesla owners in finding the right kind of tires for the vehicle, just because it's high performance and it's heavy. So it just maybe drive slower. And it's just, I burned through a lot of tires too, so I kind of share the same feeling as Steven. So if I just be a bit more gentle on the accelerator, probably the test would last longer. So
I swear I'm really a conservative driver, but I think your answer about the weight of the battery
Yeah.
makes so much sense to
Yep.
me, and I'm relieved that is coming as a possibility, because I think there's a connection.
Yeah, I would say you could also put it on chill mode. I think it's just under the settings, under driver profile settings, you could change from standard to chill. And even if you stomp on it on chill, it's like a Prius. No offense to Priuses, but it's like a Prius. So it'll accelerate very. So and what that does, the reason I'm suggesting that is basically it will make sure that your tires don't wear out prematurely.
Thank you.
So it's an option, but like you said, if it's how you drive and you already drive very conscientiously, like you're probably fine.
And thanks to Patrick. Patrick is our co-founder and president of TOCNYS. Thanks for being here. He's right, I guess. I haven't checked on the tire warranty in a while, but that's good info. The other thing, if you buy a different brand of tire, not just the speed rating, but the load rating is important. You might see some cheap tires advertised, but Tesla, because they are heavier, require a heavier load rating, which is more like what taxi cabs or other cars would use. So make sure that it follows exactly what the original tire spec was.
So how long before I get to the supercharger should my car prepare? So yeah, if the main thing you're going to want to do every time you go to a supercharger, whether it's the winter or the summer, any season, always navigate. So click in the right scroll wheel button, navigate to, I live by the Crossgates Mall, so navigate to the Crossgates Supercharger. And what that's going to do, it's going to precondition the battery so that by the time you get there, the battery is at a happy level where it says, hey, I could accept a lot of juice. So I would say no matter what, always precondition. Now, let's say it's the middle of winter, it's freezing cold out, you're at work and you need to go to the supercharger after, and it is like 10 degrees outside, it's a bad winter day. You also might want to even preheat your car, maybe let's say 10 minutes before you get into it, just because the big thing too is if it's the winter time, let's say, it's a new owner's workshop, you just got your car recently, your car will charge very slow, whether it's a supercharger or a level 2 charger, if your car has been sitting in the cold without moving for hours upon hours. So it's by preconditioning your car, whether it's, navigate to and, to whatever supercharger you want to go to, or just by heating it up from your phone, that will help out greatly. There was only once I learned this lesson the hard way where I didn't do that. And you're there for, it could be like 20-30 minutes, just really waiting for that battery to just be able to get warm enough to accept the charge. So make sure anytime you're going to hit the supercharger, navigate to it, press the button, type it in, whatever you want to do, find it on the screen. Always have it set in the, the navigation, the settings, so it's pulling you there. Even if you know exactly where it is by heart, always do it that way, because it's going to condition the batteries. Karen?
So I guess this was on my trip to Canada. I was an hour away from the supercharger and I was navigating to it and my car started to prepare itself. An hour away. I was like, that's not right. I mean, I've driven my car. I mean, I had the 3 before this. I've driven it enough to know that an hour before I get to there is not right.
Yeah, I've had that happen before where I've taken drives out to Rochester, to Buffalo, and even not when it's the wintertime, even when it's fairly warm out, and it's, I'm like an hour and a half from the charger, whether it's like an hour, and I'm like, does it really need to start preconditioning? It didn't seem to have an impact on the range. It was one of those things where I'm like, whoa, this is a little soon here. Should I like cancel it off so it's not killing the battery? It might even just say that, and maybe it still waits another 10 minutes. I never saw a significant impact on the range based on when it starts the precondition. The only time you'll see an impact on the range is if you're doing it from your phone and you're preconditioning it from there, because it's actually using heat, right? You're heating up the cabin. But the batteries, as far as I know, it's really just running the coolant through there and just warming them up a little. So yeah, as far as like if it's giving you like an hour heads up, 45 minutes heads up, I wouldn't worry. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it did it, and then it stopped, like it went away, and then it came back like 20 minutes, maybe 10 or 15 minutes closer. It came back again. I'm like, okay, that's new.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Oh, sorry, John.
May I add, if anyone isn't familiar, you can navigate to Superchargers either through the screen, or I prefer just to do the voice command. Hit the right scroll button and say navigate Supercharger, and it gives you a list of all of them. It couldn't be easier. And the same thing with tire pressure. You just hit the right scroll button, say tires, and boom, the tire pressure screen shows up. You don't have to swipe it.
Wow.
Yeah, John, as John mentioned, you could access just about anything. Same glove box, heated seats. You could say my butt is cold. It'll turn on the heated seats for you. So yeah, if you want to, for safety reasons too, definitely use the voice command. So Nancy, I don't want to tell you this, but the correct answer to your question is there's actually quite a bit of a cushion as far as range. So your question was, is there a little bit of a cushion for range? I've heard that it gets even to about, don't do this because it's not good, but I've heard that certain people can get about like 15 miles below zero. They're getting about,
not going there.
Don't do it. But I've heard, so the other thing that's what's going to happen, it's not actually called turtle mode, but it's basically going to put your car into turtle mode where you're probably going to be restricted to like 30 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour. It's probably somewhere around there, but you still have extra range. One other big thing to note too, on our cars today, let's say you're just in a bad spot and you're like, man, I'm at zero, but there's a place up there and I could keep going. And you can drain the car of a Tesla down to nothing and it won't damage the batteries. The original Roadster, just a little fun fact history lesson here. The original Tesla Roadster, if you ran it down to zero to where there was nothing left, this is the worst thing ever. They had to replace the entire battery pack, the whole battery pack. So thankfully today you run it down to zero. Maybe you call AAA and they get you a tow truck to wherever you need to go to. But there is a little bit of a cushion, but I would say be very careful. Yeah, you don't want to have to use that cushion. But yes. All right, so how to fix a flat tire? Call Tesla. So you can do this yourself. Our cars don't come with donuts. There's a company called Modern Spare. So if you're looking for a flat tire, or not a flat tire, don't look for a flat tire. If you're looking for a spare tire, it's called Modern Spare, and I've heard very good things about them. We don't have any relationship with them, at least not yet. But they're known to make a very good quality spare tire. They do them for Corvettes, for Teslas. So check out Modern Spare. With our cars, we have a 4-year 50. Well, I think on all of them, it's 4-year 50,000 bumper to bumper, but included in that is roadside assistance. So for the lifetime of your warranty, you have roadside assistance. So I believe it's right on the app on your phone. Scroll down to the app, roadside assistance. And if you have a flat, I believe they will come out to you and replace that. I don't know the specifics of that. Thankfully, I never had to use it. But yeah, flat tire, I would just do that through roadside assistance. But if you like taking things into your own hands and you just want to have a spare tire with you, check out Modern Spare. It's not an endorsement. It's just one of the best companies I've heard of out there. What is a good compressor for the tires? Should we use slime? I believe Tesla sells a tire repair kit on their site. That's one option. I think it's a comprehensive kit that you can buy. So I would say that's probably, it might not be the best, but it's one that obviously Tesla is backing. if they're selling those products. So I would say check out on Tesla's website on, through the accessories. They sell a whole tire repair kit. So I would look at that. As far as compressor and slime, I don't have any recommendations on those. If anyone else has.
I've heard that slime is not good to use on the tire pressure sensors, the monitors. So that might be a consideration. But I have no experience with that either. I would just rely on either roadside assistance or a bona fide tire shop.
I do want to give a heads up. We're a little bit past 4:30. We can keep going. I want to give a quick note. I said it in the beginning, but I want to go a little bit more into it. So we recently became a 501c3 nonprofit. So if you like what we do and you want to see more of it, we have it on our website. We have a donation page. If you type in tocnys.org/donate, you can go on there and make a donation to the club, and it's tax deductible. So part of being 501c3, we're able to have tax deductible donations. So just wanted to make a quick note, just so if you have to hop off, by all means you could hop off, but we'll go ahead and stand here a little bit longer. That was a brief intermission. All right, so I think actually we only have one more question in the chat. Back to tires. Certainly I like a decent ride, but I'm especially looking for tires with a longer life on my 2021 Model Y. Any suggestions? Oof. You're going far there. A 60,000 mile tire. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe one of those futuristic airless tires that they have going on. That might be an option. 61,000 miles or 60,000 mile tire. I would say drive very carefully. Load rating plays into it. I think on the Model 3, it's like a 98V, I want to say, or 98W. So I would make sure that your load rating is up to where it needs to be. I don't know what happens if you go past the load rating. It might not be a good thing, but maybe do some research. Can you do a 112, load rating, or is that dangerous? Could that be bad, right? I don't know. But I would always, as far as safety goes and whatnot, I would always go by what Tesla recommends. That's the safest way to go about it. But really, as far as tire wear, there is one. This isn't your answer. It's not the answer you want to hear. But the other option is getting a pair of summer tires and winter tires, and then that's how you get your 60,000 miles worth. So for that, when winter time comes around, just throw on your snow tires, and it'll extend the life of your summers or your all season. So not the answer you wanted to hear.
Just chime in a little bit on that one too. Is the way to extend the tire life is to rotate the tire periodically. So you want to either you take it out to, some of the tire places where you buy from give you lifetime tire rotation. So take advantage of that. You can take it there like every 5,000 miles to rotate it, not just the left and right, but the front and the back. That will definitely extend the life of your tires. And at the same time, right now, you're not going to get 60,000 miles on the pair of tires for Tesla, but but you're doing the right thing here, keep it properly inflated. You maybe get around 30,000 out of it, and I think that's that would be you've done really good if you can just get to that. So tire rotation, keep the tires properly inflate, drive easier on the gas pedal or on the accelerator. That definitely would be the ways to extend the life of the tires.
Thank you.
The other thing I would say too, one of my little things that I came to the thing with, so I actually have $60 or $70 tires on my car, not all together, but each tire is about $70. I figured, I said, you know what? I'm not paying for gas. I'm not paying for oil changes. I bought this car to have fun with. If I need to go through tires at every 25,000 miles, then so be it. It's not the best for the environment. There's actually a pretty big impact on the environment with tires. But you bought this car to have fun with. I would say if you could dispose of the tires properly, they get recycled. Make sure you're having fun with your car. Don't pass up on that aspect. You got to have some fun here too. So that would be my last input on that. So like I said, we could stay on a little longer. I think that's all the questions in the chat. John, yeah, yep.
I had one more question. I'm leaving my car in a garage for an extended period of time. What should I do?
Sure. So main thing, like I think you might not have been in the beginning, but the thing with Teslas is it's recommended. Once again, recommend doesn't mean you have to do it, but it's recommended you always leave your car plugged in. So for this, you could set it to 80% if you want to, and just have it plugged in the whole time. I guess, are you going to Florida or somewhere nice and warm?
I'm going warm for, yes, a long time.
Bring your Tesla with you. Yeah, that's the right answer. So yeah, so I would say keep it plugged in. I would keep it around maybe 80% or so. If that's a fair level. Yeah, just leave it plugged in. And
You don't have to do anything else, like have somebody drive it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's, let's say there's salt on there, then maybe that's something where you'd want to clean it before you have it stored. Thankfully there's no salt on the road yet. We're not quite there yet in the season. And we'll talk more about winter prep and whatnot. Like let's say it was February and your car had salt and all this grime on it. Maybe I'd say get it pressure washed where the brakes are and get it cleaned out. And but given how things are today, just keep it plugged in. Maybe set it to around 80%, and you're good to go. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Steve, while we've been talking, I updated my Tesla app and I did get my driving score. And looking at it with some granularity, all this you talk about driving fun, I think it drives your score down.
It might drive. So, okay, you're allowed, Tesla was smart-ish what they did. You're allowed to accelerate as hard as you want and it won't impact your driver score, where the impactor score is hard braking. So make sure there's not a car in front. Well, yeah, I guess make sure there's not a car in front of you and slowly brake.
Do you know what score will award you the full self-driving beta?
Today, if you're at 100, you're in. 99s are in. I think 98 right now is kind of the threshold where they're pulling in around, I think it's like 1,000 a day, I want to say. So the higher you order 100, do you mind me asking where you are?
I'm not. Yeah. I'm 95, and that,
okay.
To me, as that sounds good. 95 sounds good, but apparently not good enough to get FSD, right?
Yeah. So the other places where they're going to hit you, it's hard braking, forward collision warning. So, if you're following too close, I think follow distance is actually another one. So make sure you're leaving plenty of room. It doesn't necessarily even mean that you're a great or, aware driver. It's just, this is how Tesla is doing it. So make sure that you're following their rule book, their playbook,
right?
And you'll be able to improve it. I also believe just amount of miles driven. Let's say you're at 95 and you're like, oh man, I'm stuck at 95. Go out for, do whatever you want to do, but go out for a long drive. And by just driving around, it'll get your score. I've heard people go from 95 to 100. So
the good part is it's only for the last month. So I think if you've got a bad period, it may disappear as you roll into a new month.
Okay, I haven't heard that, but that's possible.
It says it on the thing. It says the period. It's 95 for October 19th through today.
Gotcha.
Well, I don't. Anyway.
Yeah.
But
so
thank
it sounds
you.
like that
you
means
and John, thanks.
Oh, thanks. So that must mean that you and your wife's account are linked to the car.
No, my wife doesn't even use the car.
Okay.
She's afraid of it, but but that's really the way I drive, I think. But it was, for some reason, it's in her name when we went, because we were transferring her old car to this car. But it's really my car, but it's in her name.
Gotcha. Tell her don't be afraid of the car.
Yeah.
Can I ask one question? What is it, and why do you even care?
Do you want to answer that, Hugh?
Well, I will say I have full self-driving, and it's good, and I like it on interstates. I'm afraid of it around town, but I told, and watching some videos and listening to Seth the other night, full self-driving will take you by putting in your destination. You can navigate from my address up, let's say, to Crossgates Mall up in Albany, and I get in the car and it'll take you there. But I don't have that yet. So I guess if you can get up to 98 or 99 as a driving score, Tesla deems you good enough driver to give you the full self-driving release. Did I say that right?
Yeah. So the main difference is once you're in the program. So what you have today, you bought full self-driving, which gives you traffic lights, stop signs, enhanced autopilot, the parking, right? But it doesn't take turns. So the big difference, it'll take a bend, right, a curve, but it won't take a turn at an intersection or whatever. So full self-driving today quite literally means full self-driving. It'll do it. Now it's not perfect. And even when you get it, it'll say this may do the worst thing at the worst time. And that's not wrong, but there are drives, and John has it, I have it, Patrick has it, where it will do an entire drive for you, and you get to your destination and you go, I didn't do anything. The car did everything. And it's mind blowing, where like intersections and, yields and everything. It is absolutely amazing. It's scary. It's honestly, it's a little scary, but in a good way.
But
In
Carol,
a good
aren't
way,
you-
right?
Yes.
Carol, aren't you asking how you sign up for it or how you get it?
No, I didn't know what it was. I did not take the full self-driving feature. I'm assuming that we can buy it in the future when it's a little more ready, right? But it's what I really want.
Yeah, it's
So, you guys like it? It's good?
It is, yeah. It's 10,000. I think currently, even if you buy it after, I don't think there used to actually be an upcharge. I believe today, if you purchase it after, it's still. One option if you want to. This is up to you. If you want to get a feel of it, you can do subscription. I want to say it's $200 a month. So if you want to check and see what it's like to have navigate on autopilot, or any of the other features that are there today. Now, this won't give you the turning at the intersections, but if you have it long enough and you have a high enough score, you could still get into the program, into the beta program. So, but yeah, if you want to give it a test and you're like, $10,000, that's a lot of money, you can give it the subscription and try it out for a month, 2 months, a year, whatever you want to do with that.
Hey, John, I saw that you gave it a thumbs up, the full self-driving. Now, are you using that in like a suburban environment, non-interstate, and you're happy with it?
Let's put it this way, Hugh. When I got the car in 2018, within, I think it was 30 miles or so of leaving Mount Kisco, I had it in autopilot. I had enhanced autopilot at the time. So I used to tell people I only drive the car 5% of the time for the past 3 years or so. And for the past few months with the full self-driving beta, I drive maybe less than 1% of the time. I love it so much.
Wow.
And the reason why I think $10,000 was an easy choice, because of the safety. This car has cameras all the way around. It sees things I would never see. A couple of days back, there was a pedestrian dressed in black. Paul, I think your mic is on. Thanks. There was a pedestrian dressed in black crossing the street doing a jaywalking on a busy street. The car saw it and did a brake. I thought it was a phantom brake. It wasn't. It was braking legitimately.
Wow.
So be careful sometimes when you think the car may be phantom braking and you don't see anything. It could be a pedestrian wearing black at night. But that's why I'm a big fan of it. It's not perfect. It's like walking a dog on a leash. Most of the time it's fine, but if it runs after a bike or a fire engine, you're going to want to pull on that leash.
Yeah, no, that's reassuring. I'm glad I was on just for that, because without the full self-driving, it's scary, on a rural road, it just is nerve-wracking. But I think with the full self-drive, maybe that will be better. Or
and Hugh, to answer your question too, I'm in Albany. It's fairly suburban. It's even, even our cities, it's like, is it really a city, Albany? Like, I love Albany, but I'm like, is it really a city? So it handles, I took it down to Albany. It did fine. It struggled in New York City, but that was maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. And it's New York City. Like, everyone struggles in New York City. My mom refuses to drive in New York City. So, but it's one of those things too, where it gets better over time, where there were areas where it was doing silly things a month ago. I get there today and I'm like, it's not doing that anymore. So it really does get better over time. I'm not trying to sell you on it.
Well, I have it, but I have it. So all I went out, I got to get my score up to 98, right, to get it released to me.
Yeah, I would say if you can go to 100, go to 100, but get it as high as you can. I think 98 right now is the level where they're starting to bring that group in.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I don't see any more questions. Our next, I went over the events in the beginning. I'll just give a reminder too, as far as some of them, again, real quick, if I have it. Actually, I'll let you go to the website. You can check them out. But we do have the annual holiday party at the end of the year, the same date that we have the toy drive at Gigafactory New York that John's going to be leading. So 2 really awesome events at the end of in December 11th. But yeah, with that said, thank you for attending. We have the other
Thank you.
winter workshops coming up, so more virtual events, more education. So hope to see you there. And yeah, thank you so much for coming, and appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Very good. Thank you.
See you.